You're lucky we're even letting her back in school. Karen Quell, president of the Glen Hollow Vale HOA, said it like she was doing me a favor. Arms crossed, smiling, standing beside the principal and her husband in full sheriff uniform. I stood there holding my phone. On the screen, her son, Traden Quell, in a school hallway, gripping a real Glock, tilted sideways like he learned it from TikTok. Timestamp, 6 minutes before lockdown. Finger on the trigger. My daughter froze behind me. She hadn't spoken in years. Karen leaned in. Boys joke. Don't turn this into drama. That's when I lifted my phone. This footage auto-syncs to federal SafeTrack servers. Timestamped, geofenced, already flagged red. Her smile cracked. Her husband, Sheriff Donald Quell, shifted, hand near his belt. Not a threat, a reflex. But I saw it in his eyes. Recognition, panic. They knew. The principal suddenly found his voice. Let's all calm down. We don't want to escalate. I looked at Karen, slowly. You downgraded a federal threat alert. You erased school footage. Your son brought a loaded weapon to school. She laughed. Actually laughed. Do you have any idea who I am in this neighborhood? That was the moment I understood something important. This wasn't about a gun. This wasn't about rules. This was about power. And power had just slipped. My name is Sauron Halvik. I came to Glen Hollow to retire quietly, keep my daughter safe. Instead, I walked into the most corrupt HOA I'd ever seen, and Karen Quell just made the biggest mistake of her life. The swing disappeared first. One morning, it was there. The next, just rope marks on the tree and a bright orange HOA notice taped to my door. Unauthorized exterior recreational structure, removed for community safety. Community safety. My daughter used that swing for sensory regulation. It was a medical accommodation. Filed, approved, signed. Karen had stamped it denied in red ink and handwritten underneath. Try a different neighborhood. Then came the fines. Then the anonymous concerns sent to the school. Then the security footage of Traden stalking my daughter at pickup, deleted. Then my tires got slashed. Then her necklace. The necklace was a therapeutic bead chain. When Traden ripped it off her neck in the hallway, one bead shattered. Another triggered the hidden panic fob inside. That fob logged everything. Heart rate spike, location, audio, and 3 seconds later, Traden's gun appeared on camera. Karen said it was fake. The sheriff said it was unloaded. The school board said nothing. But the SafeTrack system didn't lie. Someone had manually downgraded my daughter's red alert to yellow. That meant override clearance. That meant inside help. That night, the HOA newsletter dropped. Open quote, yesterday's school incident involved no real danger. Residents are advised not to speculate or spread misinformation. Close quote. No gun, no apology, no mention of my daughter, just a community-wide muzzle. That's when I realized something worse than corruption was happening. They weren't just covering it up. They were testing how much abuse this neighborhood would tolerate. And my child was their experiment. If this is hitting hard, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment where you're watching from, which country, which city, because what happens next? This HOA starts hunting its own residents. The first crack came from the budget. Karen listed the meeting as board prep, which meant residents weren't supposed to attend. I showed up anyway. Clause 7.6, all financial sessions are open unless active litigation is in progress. There wasn't any. Not yet. Karen didn't come. Neither did her sheriff husband. Instead, Nathan Greer, the vice chair, ran the numbers with shaking hands. Line 22C, emergency preparedness upgrades. It had more funding than parks, wellness, and youth programs combined. I asked one question. Why are these funds being paid to GHS Consulting, which shares a P.O. box with the sheriff's private security contractor? Silence. The treasurer, Casimir Van, dropped his pen. Greer muttered, that information isn't publicly accessible. It is, I said, if you know where to look. That's when Casimir found me in the parking lot. I didn't approve those payments, he said quietly. Meredith Karen co-signed them. Not for playgrounds, not for safety, for private surveillance, cameras, patrols, behavioral reports, all targeting the same group, children, specifically. Children flagged as behaviorally inconsistent. My daughter's name appeared twice. That night, I got 5 new HOA violations in 24 hours. Window tint, sensors, tree swing mount, harassment of board officers. The last one made me smile. They weren't enforcing rules anymore. They were trying to make me disappear. But they made one mistake. They let the wrong man see the ledger. And Casimir wasn't scared anymore. He was ready to burn the whole machine down from the inside. The HOA called it a conduct review panel. I called it a setup. They wanted me on camera, calm if possible, angry if lucky. Either way, edited into the perfect villain. Karen arrived last, dressed in cream, smiling like a woman about to watch someone else's funeral. Sheriff Quell stood just outside the pavilion, close enough to intimidate, far enough to deny involvement. The cameras were already rolling. Karen opened with my violations. Swing. Censors. Harassment. Each one delivered like a prosecutor reading charges. I waited. Then I placed a sealed evidence folder on the table. This contains proof of illegal surveillance of minors, falsified school threat overrides, and misused HOA safety funds, signed by you and your husband. Karen's smile died on camera. Before she could speak, Casimir stood up from the back row. I'd like to enter a financial disclosure into the record. He projected the numbers. $22,800 missing, rerouted through a shell company, owned by the sheriff's sister-in-law. Business type, private surveillance installation. Karen tried to laugh. Her voice cracked instead. That's when the unmarked SUVs rolled in. State oversight, education compliance, attorney general's office. The lead investigator didn't even look at Karen. She looked at the sheriff. You suppressed a federal school threat alert and concealed a registered firearm. Two officers stepped forward. Handcuffs clicked. Not metaphorically, literally. Karen screamed. He was protecting the community. The investigator replied coldly. No, he was protecting you. The HOA board was suspended on the spot. Karen collapsed into her chair, exposed in front of the same neighbors she'd terrorized for years. Her empire didn't fall quietly. It fell live. Recorded. Permanent. And the woman who once ran the neighborhood like a queen was walked out like a criminal's wife. Like, share, and subscribe if you want more real justice stories. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because somewhere right now, there's a Karen running your HOA too.